valuable FD.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to Primetime News here on Newsfirst, where the people come first. You're joining me, Naveksha Gunasekara, and we start off by taking a look at your headlines.
Convener of the Inter-University Students Federation, Vasant Mudalige, remanded once again. UNP and SLFP hold talks to form an alliance.
අධික සත්‍යාතික පක්ෂ ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ 95% පක්ෂ ගණනාව මේ වෙනකොට ආණ්ඩුවත් එක්ක සංධානගත වෙලා මේ මැතිවරණයට මුහුණ දෙන්න සූදානම් වෙලා ඉන්නේ.
එවැනි දෙයක් කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් අපි ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මැලි වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Dates announced for indictments to be filed against Sanat Nishanta over contempt of court case. Postal services disrupted by strike. Trade unions attached to the railways and port issue warnings. Will farmers of the Mahabali authority lose their ancestral lands?
අපි පුංචි කාලේ ඉඳලා දුක් විඳපු මිනිස්සු. නමුත් අපේ කුඹුරු අපි ඉල්ලනකොට පහෙන් අත්විලා කුඹුරු දීලා අපි දුක් විඳින අපේ දරුවොත් එක්කම.
Suspect behind Kolpiti accident flees to Dubai. Police continue investigations.
In your top story tonight, convener of the IUSF Vasant Mudalige, who was produced in court once more earlier today, was remanded until tomorrow. Senior Deputy Solicitor General Dileepa Perus informed the court today that the Attorney General's instructions were unable to be conveyed since investigations had not concluded. Convener of the Inter-University Students Federation, Vasant Mudalige, who has been charged under the Prevention of Terrorism Act, was produced before Colombo Additional Magistrate Tharanga Mahawata today. Venerable Galvava Siridamathera, the convener of the Inter-University Bhikkhu Federation, who has been accused of the same charges and is currently out on bail, also appeared in court today. A silent protest was held opposite the court complex in support of Vasant Mudalige. When the case was called up, Senior Deputy Solicitor General Dileepa Perus informed court around 60% of the investigations being carried out on Vasant Mudalige by the Terrorist Investigations Division are complete. Apprising court further, he said around 8 to 9 statements have been recorded from the suspect, while statements from around 1,150 others have also been recorded. The additional magistrate then queried Senior Deputy Solicitor General Dileepa Perus if he is unable to act based on the same set of instructions given by the Attorney General when granting bail to Venerable Galvava Siridamathera in the case of Vasant Mudalige. In reply, the Senior Deputy Solicitor General said he is ensuring that investigations proceed without any unwanted delays. President's counsel Salia Perus appeared in court on behalf of Vasant Mudalige. He pointed out that according to the investigation report submitted to court by the prosecution thus far, no offences under the Prevention of Terrorism Act have been detected. Hence, the court has the authority to hand down an order based on common law. He further said it has been observed that the government is purposely delaying investigations into the matter. Speaking further, he stated if only 60% of investigations has been completed after 4 months since Vasant Mudalige was arrested, several more months would be required to conclude the remaining 40%. Thus, he requested court to seriously consider this fact before extending the suspect's remand period. Additional Magistrate Tharanga Mahawata, who ordered for the case to be taken up once more at 12 p.m. tomorrow, said it would be appropriate to present the Attorney General's instructions regarding the suspect.
This is an attempt to stop the people's uprising by suppressing student leaders. This is not justice. When zombies come to life, they have no censors. Ranil Wickremesinghe is also acting in the same way. We want Ranil Wickremesinghe to know leaders like you are useless to us.
Justice Rohini Marasinghe says Sri Lanka must respect human rights without waiting for the international community to tell us. The chairperson of the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka made this statement at an event held in Colombo on Monday to celebrate the International Human Rights Day organized by the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka.
The International Human Rights Day, which was marked on Saturday, celebrates the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations General Assembly in 1948. Speaking at an event held to mark Human Rights Day, Chairperson of the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka, Justice Rohini Marasinghe said, domestic human rights institutions must be strengthened in order that the international community will have no excuse or room to meddle in another country.
The UDHR holds a Guinness World Record as the most translated document available in more than 500 languages, Braille and different sign languages. Yet far too many people are still unaware of their fundamental rights as human beings, drafted by representatives of diverse legal and cultural backgrounds from all regions. The Declaration sets out universal values and a common standard of achievement for all people and all nations. Each country must try to maintain a spotless human rights record, not because the international community demands it, but because it is the right thing to do for one's people. All countries must strengthen their internal human rights monitoring systems. In Sri Lanka, the Human Rights Commission has been calling out the authorities when it sees a violation of the human rights of a person or a group. Such institutions should be strengthened. Such institutions should be strengthened so that the international community will have no excuse or room to meddle in another country's internal affairs or human rights situation. The Human Rights Commission will remain indispensable in safeguarding and promoting your security through protecting the fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution. The principles contained in our Constitution are saving principles. Stand by those principles. Be true to them on all occasions, in all places, against all foes, and at whatever cost. Its preamble has definite propositions regarding the nature of humanity and government. These were the doctrines that all men are created equal, endowed with certain inalienable rights, that therefore the source of the just powers of government must be derived from the consent of the governed.
The chief guest at the event, former Chief Justice Asoka De Silva, commented on the severity of the human rights violations against Sri Lankan women in the Middle East.
Today I am addressing you on human trafficking and some of the related issues for your consideration. I decided on this topic after reading the unfortunate incident where some Sri Lankan women had to face in the Middle East. Some women were taken for employment as domestics, and I read somewhere that they had taken visit visa, has gone there, and were forced to engage in prostitution by some unscrupulous agents of human trafficking. Human trafficking is a major contemporary problem in the world, and it is the fastest growing crime according to United Nations State Department and United Nations International Labour Organization. Widespread human trafficking occurs when there is political chaos, war, extreme poverty, unemployment, lack of education, and lack of opportunity.
The event, organized by the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka, highlighted the theme for this year's Human Rights Day: I have a voice, dignity, freedom, and justice for all.
The Court of Appeal instructed the Attorney General today to file indictments on the 17th of January 2023 against State Minister Sanath Nishantha Perera, who has been accused of contempt of court. 3 complaints filed against State Minister Sanath Nishanta, who had spoken in a manner that insulted the judiciary during a public press conference held at the headquarters of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna on the 28th of August, were taken up today before Justices Nisanka Bandula Karunaratne and R. Gurusingha. Senior counsel representing the Attorney General requested court to provide more time for charges to be filed. Based on the request, time was granted until the 17th of January 2023 for charges to be filed.
That I am afraid. Check our Facebook and other social media and see for yourself how many times we visit the village daily.
During a meeting on Sunday, parliamentarian Mahinda Amaravira revealed that the United National Party and the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna have begun talks to form an alliance.
The upcoming provincial council elections will most likely be held in March. As of now, many parties have agreed to join hands with the government. The UNP, 95% of the SLFP, the National Unity Front, Douglas Devananda, Pillayan and many other parties are ready to face an election together with the government. Therefore, no matter what is being said, we are ready to win any election.
Views on the matter were expressed at the press briefing held at the SLPP party headquarters on Monday.
The
UNP is one of the oldest parties in the country. It is a party that has a strong base at grassroots level. Therefore, joining hands with them is a strength to us. There is a chance for our two parties to join hands together for the betterment of the country and the future generation. If there is a chance for that to happen, we won't hesitate.
නමුත් දැන් එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය සහ ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොදුජන පෙරමුණ කියන්නේ අහසයි පොළොවයි වගේ වෙනස් මත තියෙන වෙනස් ප්‍රතිපත්තීන් තිබුණු පක්ෂ දෙකක්. කොහොමද මේ දෙක එකට ගැට ගහන්නේ? ප්‍රතිපත්ති කියන
A political party won't be able to survive if it doesn't change its policies based on the needs of the country and its people.
නෑ.
Lawyers of the Aragalaya convened a media briefing today.
දැන් අපිට ලැබෙන තොරතුරුත් එක්ක
Why are the UNP and SLPP entering into an alliance? One might question what is happening here. We are wondering the same. By doing so, both factions can gain massive advantages. The SLPP can't stop 50 to 60 factions from entering an alliance with Ranil Wickremesinghe. Therefore, the SLPP is facing a downfall. Who is behind this? It is Basil Rajapaksa. That is why Basil Rajapaksa had a special meeting with Ranil Wickremesinghe in secret for 1.5 hours. They are paving the way for SLPP and the UNP to join hands together. No matter what gibberish they sprout out, they are afraid of an election.
Trade unions are preparing to commence trade union actions against various decisions taken by the government. On Sunday, postal workers commenced a strike from 4 p.m. to midnight, citing 6 demands. Their demands include halting the privatization of postal work, filling up employee vacancies and providing advance payments. This was the situation at the Colombo Central Mail Exchange.
The administration has yet to present a proper plan or solution to the issues. Last evening, the administration was getting ready to suppress the employees. If solutions are not presented even after a token strike, it could develop into a continuous strike action.
The main post office in Galle was also closed on Monday. This was how the people were inconvenienced following the closure of the main post office in Kurunegala town. This was the situation at the Kandy and Batikla post offices. Meanwhile, Minister of Mass Media Bandula Gunawardena has called for discussions to end the strike.
We cannot burden the public by paying the salaries and allowances of the postal department anymore. We would like to enter into long-term discussions with trade unions to increase revenue and cut the expenses of the postal department via some good proposals. That is, if they are willing to put an end to the strike action.
ඕනෑම යහපත් යෝජනාවක් පිළිබඳ දීර්ඝ ලෙස සාකච්ඡා කරන්නට අපි සූදානම්.
The Federation of University Teachers Association announced they will launch a strike action tomorrow against the new tax reforms.
The Federation of University Teachers Association, or the FUTA, has declared a token strike, island-wide token strike tomorrow as a protest to the unfair and tax reforms that this government has approved in the parliament last week. So we have been telling the government not to do this because we have pointed out, and with scientific evidence, after carefully analyzing this bill and its repercussions, and we have shown the government how this will enhance the brain drain in this country further, and we have told the government how this is going to affect not only the economy and not only the lifestyle of the professionals in this country, that includes the university teachers, the doctors, engineers, and bankers, and not only in the private, the government sector, but also in the private sector.
The All Ceylon Port General Workers Union has addressed a letter to the President stating that if the decision to sell the East Terminal of the Colombo Port is not immediately withdrawn, the unions will unconditionally resort to strict trade union action. The letter also states that the port will take this action jointly together with all trade unions and employees comprising of around 9,000. Meanwhile, in a letter to Transport Minister Bandul Gunawardana, the Railway Trade Union Alliance emphasized that the attempt to turn the Railway Department into an authority should be stopped immediately. It warned the minister that if such preparations are made, the union will resort to a trade union action.
While trade unions express opposition over various concerns, protests over the unresolved issues of the people were staged across several areas. A protest was held today opposing the suspension of construction work on the road leading to Diakola via Yahalarava Valimada. The protesters obstructed the Valapane Kandy road from Diakola. Thereafter, the group met the Uva Parnagama Divisional Secretary. The group stopped the protest temporarily after the divisional secretary promised to hold discussions. Another group demonstrated by blocking the Badulla Passara road, demanding the Badulla Spring Valley road be renovated. The group dispersed after police intervened and promised to hold a meeting with the relevant officials.
Farmers of the Mahabali movement claim attempts are being made to evict them from their traditional lands they have been residing in. Locals of Nabadavava, Bisopura in Madirigiriya took steps to clear out these lands today, claiming Mahabali officials are attempting to hand over the lands to various people. Our cameras captured the situation that arose when officials from the unit manager's office for Madirigiriya arrived at the location and informed the people to stop clearing out the lands. According to our correspondent, the crowd had dispersed after the unit manager promised that the resident manager for Bisopura of the Mahabali Authority would rectify the matter tomorrow.
News First with the people.
We'll be back after a short commercial break. Stay with us.
News First, main sponsor.
25% for 2 months, 25.5% for 4 months. Valuable FD.
Ivan Satutin inne wiring karala Wiring කිරුවේ Eslon Polycon යොදලා.
For your safety and the protection of the wires used in networking and AC wiring, Eslon Polycon cable trunking.
Welcome back to the news. Police say the 24-year-old male who caused a fatal accident in Kolpiti by speeding in a luxury vehicle has fled the country. According to the media spokesperson of police, the suspect had flown to Dubai 3 hours after the clash. The fatal accident claimed the life of a father of 3.
A vehicle travelling at high speed from Kolpiti to Golface at around 6:30 on Saturday morning collided with a three-wheeler travelling ahead of it. After colliding with a three-wheeler, the vehicle crashed into a gate nearby. This accident claimed the life of a father of 3 named Draman Nurdin Tuan Putra. His final rites were conducted yesterday. Tuan was the father of 2 daughters who are still schooling and a son. He was a taxi driver by profession. Tuan had left his house in Kahatudwa at around 5:15 in the morning on that fateful day.
මගේ ළමයි 3 දෙනෙක් එක මම අසරණ වෙලා ඉන්නේ අපිට වෙන කිසිම ආදායමක් නැහැ ළමයි 3 දෙනෙම ගෙදර ඉන්නේ ඉස්කෝලේ යන්න ළමයි මට මේකට සාධාරණ කිස්ත කරලා දෙන්නේ මම මොකද ඕනේ පොලිසිය ගියත් අපිට ඒක වචනවත් තව කතා කරන්න එදා කතා කරුවා එච්චරයි මුළු ලෝකෙටම දැනුම් දීලා තියෙන්නේ ඒ කාර්යය තුල තිබිච්ච බඩු ඔක්කොම එයි මේකට අල්ලන්න බෑ
3 women and 2 men had been in the vehicle at the time of the crash. A man named Mohammed Rasul Mohammed Razik had been driving the vehicle.
The driver is said to be employed in Dubai or another foreign nation. He had departed the country at 9:55 a.m. on the day of the crash. He had fled the scene immediately after the crash. It is reported that he flew to Dubai. Investigations have revealed that he was planning to fly to Dubai on that day. That is how he was able to flee the country in a short window of time. However, the police have obtained a travel ban against him. Support from the international police is also being sought to arrest him.
සහයෝගය ඔහු අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම සඳහා ලබා ගැනීමටත් විමර්ශන නිලධාරීන් අපේක්ෂා කරන බව ඔවුන් දැනුම් දුන්නා.
It is reported that a group of students have attacked the former Vice-Chancellor of the Perus University, Senior Professor Atula Sena Ratna and his son and damaged his residence.
We have launched an investigation at university level. After observing CCTV footage, we have identified 12 students. They have been suspended until investigations conclude. As of now, the Perus University officials and the disciplinary unit have initiated a disciplinary inquiry.
සම්බන්ධ වී ඒ සිසුන් නීතිමය කටයුතු සහ විනය සම්බන්ධ කටයුතු සිදු කරමින් පවතී.
It is reported that the car driven by the professor's son collided into a parked motorcycle near his office and then a group had chased the son and attacked him.
Information has been revealed that a car accident had not taken place. The Perus police recorded their statements and accordingly they have identified that it was one person. However, investigations are underway to identify the group that arrived.
Meanwhile, according to the President's Media Division, President Ranil Wickremesinghe has instructed relevant authorities to carry out a comprehensive investigation into the incident.
Former Governor of the Central Bank, Ajit Niwad Cabral, says the country must not only focus on the IMF bailout.
After engaging in religious observances at the Temple of the Sacred Tooth, the former governor Medanu Nayaka of the Askari chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Venerue Upali Thera and the Deputy Lekakadikari Venerable Narampanave Ananda Thera. Subsequently, the former governor visited and obtained blessings from the Mahanayaka of the Malwatu chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Tibbatuave Sri Sumangala Thera.
There is still a lot to do in the country. It is being done. I wrote a book as well. China has provided us with a large relief package. It's good if tourists arrive because that will bring foreign revenue to the country. Many have hopes on that.
The former governor expressed views regarding the present economic situation to the media.
I won't be there in 2050. We must be vigilant today and tomorrow. There is no point in talking about 2050 to a child without milk. There is no point in talking about 2050 to a young person with a job. If businesses are going to go bankrupt, there is no point in talking about 2030 to 2040. Do not look forward to the IMF as the only alternative. There are other alternatives. Explore those options as well.
ඒ දෙස පමණක් බලන්නට එපා. තව මාර්ගයක් තිබෙනවා. ඒ මාර්ගත් හොයලා බලන්න. ඔබතුමා යම් ආකාරයකින් ඩොලරයේ බලාත්කාරයෙන් රඳවගෙන හිටපු හින්දානේ මේ තත්ත්වය දැන්ට උද්ගත වෙලා තියෙන මේ ආර්ථික උද්දමනය ඇති වෙලා තියෙන කියලා දිගින් දිගට චෝදනා එනවානේ. අද තියෙන්නේ
The same thing is taking place today. They are forcefully pegging the dollar. Can anyone say that it is correct to do so? I must write a new book about that.
කරන්න පුළුවන්. අලුත් පොතක් ලියන්න වෙයි එහෙනම් ඒ පිළිබඳව.
The leader of the National People's Power, Andrew Kumar Dissanayake, speaking from Milan in Italy, says that a government with the people's mandate must come forth in order to resolve the problems of the people.
There is no solution to the crisis we are facing. It has only worsened. To overcome this crisis, we must give the people the opportunity to elect a government of their choosing. Then people will give room to the government they elect. A set-up government cannot solve these problems. He says he is like Hitler. That is why he warns the public not to step out onto the streets and protest. He warns us to be careful of going out. But we will not get caught to this. We will not join him in these sword fights. We will see what he amounts to in a few days.
Bloomberg News Agency has reported that Sri Lanka is considering using a special clause to expedite its debt restructuring negotiations.
The Bloomberg, citing people familiar with the matter, has reported that the government is looking to introduce a most favoured creditor clause to assuage doubts among other creditors that China could be offered better terms. The move comes as prolonged talks with creditors over the debt restructuring process risk delaying a crucial bailout from the International Monetary Fund. According to the Bloomberg report, a most favoured creditor clause would ensure the same terms are extended to all creditors, even if an agreement with them has been sealed before a deal is reached with China. Sri Lanka has already reached a staff-level agreement with the IMF, but now needs to agree on terms with creditors in order to secure the board approval, which will also open doors for other multilateral lenders to provide aid to the country. The government was initially planning to receive the IMF board approval in December, but it is likely that the nod will be given in January.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, 25% for 2 months, 25.5% for 4 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
Flights between Palali and India that were temporarily halted resumed today after 2 years. Deputy High Commissioner of India in Jaffna, Rakesh Nadraj J. Bhaskaran, and Airport and Airline Company Chairman Major General J. Chandrasiri participated on behalf of Sri Lanka.
Air travel between Palali and Chennai was temporarily halted owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. The flight arrived at the Palali airport at 10:50 a.m. today, recommencing air travel between the two airports. The Civil Aviation Authority said, starting today, 4 flights per week will arrive from Chennai to Palali.
Last night, we shed light on the severity of the drug menace in Sri Lanka's north and how young men are addicted to illegal substances. Tonight, we delve deeper into this matter and bring you details on a group of young men currently engaged in rehabilitation.
Several young men undergoing rehabilitation after being addicted to drugs at a rehabilitation center in Menace shared their experiences with us.
I am an A-level student. I got addicted to heroin. Since my family is poor, I got a job at a shop. A man I know comes to work there too. I had a back pain for a long time that did not reduce even though I took medicine. The man who came to work at the shop with me was a heroin user. He claimed heroin would help my backache. I refused at first, but he insisted from time to time. One day I tried it. Nothing happened. He then asked me to take a higher dosage. I got addicted bit by bit. Then I started to purchase it. My backache reduced. Later I realized I was abusing heroin. I started using it at home. I spent a lot of money on it. If I had that money, I could have succeeded in life. When my family got to know I was an addict, they pleaded with me to stop. I only have a sister. My father and mother are not alive. I decided to get on the right path because of my sister. That is why I have been at this rehabilitation center for nearly a month now. I realize drugs are not a panacea for my backache.
வயிற்றால போய்கொண்டிருக்கும் அப்போ அதுகளெல்லாம் ஒரு உடம்பால் அவள்த்தையும் தாங்கல இருக்கும் அப்போ இதால தான் நான் அடிக்ட் ஆகிட்டேன் அப்படி ஃபுல்லாக.
Young men undergoing rehabilitation at these centers expect to be integrated into society soon. Despite their dark past, today they spend their lives happily. Details on the drug menace targeting schools tomorrow.
Perus new President Dina Bulate is proposing bringing general elections forward by 2 years to April 2024 amidst ongoing political tension.
According to foreign media, she also declared a state of emergency in areas where protests have erupted. It further noted that 2 teenagers were killed in clashes between demonstrators and police in the southwestern region. Bulate was sworn in as president on Wednesday after her predecessor, Pedro Castillo, was impeached following his attempt to dissolve Congress. Bulate, addressing television to the nation early on Monday local time, said she would submit a bill to Congress to hold elections in April 2024 instead of April 2026. The move represents an about turn, as she had said upon taking office that she would serve out the remainder of Castillo's 5-year term in office in full.
Space agency NASA has brought home its next generation astronaut ship after a near 26-day mission to orbit the moon.
Splashdown.
The Orion capsule splashed down in the Pacific Ocean after a re-entry into Earth's atmosphere and a descent that was further slowed by parachutes. Because this was a test, there were no people aboard this time, but that will change for the next flight. NASA is planning even more complex missions with Orion. These will likely start in late 2024 and include in 2025 or 2026 an attempt to put humans back on the lunar surface. This was last achieved exactly 50 years ago to the day by the crew of Apollo 17. The agency's new project is called Artemis, who in Greek mythology was the sister of Apollo.
Iran has publicly executed a second man who was arrested during unrest linked with the country's ongoing protests.
The judiciary's new website announced early on Monday that Majid Reza Rahnavad, who was convicted of killing 2 members of security forces, was executed in an unidentified public location in Mashhad while a group of people looked on. It further published several images of the public execution showing a man whose hands were tied, hanged by the neck from a crane. Masked security forces were shown cordoning off the area with a crowd of dozens watching behind barricades. Iran executed the first detainee linked with the protests, a 22-year-old named Mohsen Shekhari, on Thursday for allegedly attacking and wounding a member of the Basij paramilitary force with a long knife in central Tehran.
Exhilarating football actions will follow on Wednesday as we reach the business end of the 2022 FIFA World Cup. The first semi-final of this year's World Cup will see Lionel Messi's Argentina taking on the runners-up of the 2018 World Cup, Croatia. The match will kick off at 12:30 a.m. on the 14th of December, that is Wednesday. Thereafter, reigning champions France will continue their title defense against this year's dark horses, Morocco, in the second semi-final, kicking off at 12:30 a.m. on the 15th of December. Stay tuned to TV1, the Champion Network. And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. Thank you for watching, and for all these stories and much more, you can visit our website, that is www.newsfirst.lk. Good night.